Nats last night in St. Louis, but the outcome was not the same. Ryan Zimmermann crushing 2 more home runs, delivering a clutch 8th-inning double that proved to be the game winner. Back home tonight, where the spotlight shines on a different Zimmermann. Jordan goes for a 4th straight against the struggling Braves. Good to be back home. Early morning arrival for the Nats. The Braves are already here, and the Braves would like to win anything. Scherzer, Harper, Zimmermann, Chad Cordero, Frank Robinson, your nesting doll set. We had to mention that one more time and give you a good look at one of the great historical pieces of Nationals treasures. All right, good to have you back, buddy. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Good to be back. Let's do this.
All right, the Nats could get back to within 6 tonight. Mets are off, and if Ryan Zimmermann has anything to do with it, he might carry this ball club the way he did to St. Louis and back.
Well, we've been talking about it all year. When he gets hot, he can carry a ball club, and last night he did. He put them right on their back. 4th-inning home run. Had 3 go-ahead hits last night, by the way. First time in his career he's done that. First time in Nats history that's been done. Congratulations for home run number 200, all with the same ball club. Not too many players can say that. I think that's the coolest thing about home run number 200. Then he had the game winner in the 8th inning, so 3 go-ahead hits. Nats win. Happy flight home, and hopefully this thing starts heading in the right direction.
So 3 go-ahead hits in the same game. Vlad did it 15 years ago. Last 10 games hitting almost 360. Look at the RBIs, ridiculous. And second most RBI by any player in a 10-game span all year long in 2015. He's on his way to 70 RBIs. Jordan's hoping he's on his way to 7, and that's because he's 6-2 career with a 2.59 ERA against the Braves. 2-0 this year, ERA well under 2 runs a game. He has won 4 of his last 5 decisions. The Zimmermanns take center stage on the mound and in the batter's box. Masson, brought to you by PNC Bank for the Achiever in you. And by Airlines for America, where airplanes land. Opportunity takes off. Thanks to a win in St. Louis last night, the Nats had a nice flight home. It's been a short night. And it's partly cloudy skies, possible storms. We've had some thunderstorms roll through the area, but nothing really of consequence as far as the field conditions. Freddie Freeman, last 2 years against the Nats, he's just been murder on our ball club. 24 out of 25 games, hitting .455. This is not the same Atlanta lineup we've seen in recent years, but they've still got some veterans in there. Nick Markakis is having a nice year. Here's Jordan Zimmermann against Markakis, and we're underway. 92 miles an hour at 7:05, ball one.
And picked up his third consecutive win last start against the Marlins. 7 innings, 7 hits, gave up just 1 run.
Markakis, one of the leading hitmen in the league, facing Jordan. Looking for number 12 tonight. ERA sitting at 3.45. Then he's missed on his first 3. Tight zone so far. We'll set the umpiring crew for you in a moment.
Hasn't thrown a strike all night.
Well, it's about time.
There we go.
5th year in the big leagues for Clint Fagan. Paul Emmels, 17th year. Jerry Meals, the crew chief, 18th year. Second base. Andy Fletcher, 17 years over at third. And it's tight.
Wow.
It's a leadoff walk. He threw some good pitches.
We saw Jordan have a little look back to Clint Fagan. That was outside on pitch track, but it's right where Wilson Ramos was sitting, hit the glove. If you remember all the way back to June 24th and June 30th, Jordan had back-to-back shutout appearances against the Braves. One went 8 innings, one went 7 2/3. He's had good success against this ball club this year.
That's Nick Markakis' 55th walk of the year. Here's Cameron Maybin, who's hitting .267 with 10 home runs. Braves come into this series last in the big leagues in runs and home runs. .479 on the run total and 83 long balls on the year. That's on the inside edge. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good idea.
Maybe where the strikes are.
Well, good idea by Ramos and Zimmermann to go to the off speed, kind of slow him down a little bit. He's been quick. Saw that first fastball up out of the zone. That off speed will get you out front, get you on time.
Braves are scuffling. They've lost 8 in a row, 15 of 16. On the road this year, they are 21-47. In the division, they're a respectable 25-28. Freddie Gonzalez Ball Club building for the future. They've traded away a lot of veterans this year.
Since they were 42-42, they've been 12-37. Wow. And I'm looking at this lineup, Carpet, and it's not a bad lineup.
Right.
Maybin, Freeman, Brzezinski, Swisher, Peterson, Simmons hitting 8th. I mean, this isn't a bad lineup, and kind of look at it, and maybe you have to point right to the pitching.
Freddie Freeman hurt earlier in the season, so he was not able to hurt the Nats. That's up the middle. Zimmermann with his boot slows it down, and look what Desmond does. Fantastic athletic play by the national shortstop, and a kick save by Jordan Zimmermann made that possible.
Well, if you remember last year, Adam LaRoche had the daily ball that was called a strike on the outside part of the plate. It seems like Jordan Zimmermann this year has the daily comebacker every 5th day. Remember last time he was floored with a line drive. This one, the first inning off his foot. Ian Desmond on the run. Sweet bare hand play and gets Cameron Maybin by a lot. You thought that might be a hit, and look at how far out he threw Cameron Maybin by. Nice play.
That is impressive. Here's Freddie Freeman. Loves hitting in this ballpark. And by the way, he's .351 with runners in scoring position. That's just out of the top 10 in the National League. And that ball was by him at 93. Right wrist contusion. Had him on the DL for a month. June 23rd to July 25th. Then it was actually retroactive back to a week before that.
Jordan jumping out there quick right now. Front side's flying, arms trailing, balls up.
Trying to bring that breaking ball back. Freddie Freeman, by the way, had played in 234 games in a row before he got hurt, and that was the longest streak in baseball. Way outside, 2 walks from a stingy control pitcher, Jordan Zimmermann. That's only 31 walks in 167 innings.
Steve McCanny checking it out. Probably seeing what we're talking about. Robinson, Harper, Worth, your outfield. Desmond, Escobar left side. Rendon, Zimmermann right side. Wilson, Ramos behind the plate. Clint Robinson getting the start in left field tonight.
A.J. Brzezinski at 295.
Starts with the changeup grip. Circle change. See that? That ball looks tiny in his hand, doesn't it?
Brzezinski 3 for 12 career against Jordan. Little flare, chance for a double play. And not a good base running play by Nick Markakis on a ball that was in the air on the infield.
Watch Markakis' first reaction. He thinks that's over Rendon's head. Judged it wrong.
A little muggy, a little warm, and the ball could be flying. Jason Worth, last 11 ball games, just doing great. And if you stretch it out a little further than that, over a 13-game period as a leadoff guy, he's hitting .333. So his bat has come alive. We saw him driving the ball in St. Louis. And this is Matt Whistler, who has already faced the Nats twice this year, former Padre farmhand.
Yeah, one of his better starts of the year last time out of the 29th against the Yankees. Took the loss 3-1, but he only gave up 2 runs on 4 hits over 6 innings. Got to make him throw strikes. Last 5 starts, he's walked 14 and struck out 13. So fastball runs about 93 on average. Slider, changeup, his secondary pitches. He'll throw an occasional curve.
And Jason Worth faces him for the first time. Nats are 10th in the league in batting average, up to 4th in runs and 3rd in homers, thanks to the Jason Worth, Ryan Zimmerman power show over the last 3 nights in the Midwest. That Williams ball club's at 141 home runs. This ball out into right for Nick Markakis.
Set the defense for the Braves behind Whistler, Swisher, Maben, Markakis the outfield, Simmons, Oliveira left side, Peterson, Freeman right side, and the young A.J. Brzezinski behind the plate, having a nice season.
He is.
295 average, 7 home runs, 42 RBI. And who thought he'd be catching every day for the Braves with the young Bethancourt back there, but he didn't pan out, and A.J. Brzezinski did.
Yeah, Bethancourt is back from the minor leagues. But A.J. has really earned what he's got this year. Here's Rendon. He faces Whistler for the first time. So a couple of guys that were hurt when Whistler made bad back-to-back starts against the Nats himself. But those did not coincide with facing Jordan Zimmermann. June 25th and July 1st. Chopper left side. Backhand near the bag. Hector Oliveira. 2 outs. Bryce Harper. Early game notes for you. Jordan Zimmermann, last 5 times out against the Braves, has been almost perfect against them. Almost 20 innings of a scoreless streak. 9 straight on the road for Atlanta, 8 overall on the losing side. And Ian Desmond is doing a lot of great things offensively. Right now, Bryce leading the batting race by 3 points over D. Gordon at .331. Matt Williams said before the game tonight that Bryce was actually a little sore with that glute muscle before the ball game last night. And then that lunging swing didn't do him any good, and he came out right after that.
Did some PT on his left hip before the game, and he's good to go. Told the skipper he wants to play.
1-1 pitch.
You know, you remember the past years when he hit, he came off his back hip, back foot. This year he's kept that planted in the ground. Imagine how much torque is on that backside all season long with the way he swings. So his foot's planted now. It doesn't come off the ground, and he's rotating off his backside. And there's lots of torque on that wasn't there in previous years because he did the Frank Thomas where he came off.
Yeah.
So now that back cleat's in there, it's rotating, and it makes sense to me that would hurt.
Bryce is 0 for 1 with a walk this year against the rookie Matt Whistler. And he'll draw the base on balls for the 101st time this year.
The first baseman, number 11. He hit his 200th home run yesterday. Ryan Zimmermann.
A shot to right center off the scoreboard. Racing to third is Harper. Ryan hit it too hard for Bryce to score. From his rookie year till now, he's been able to rise to the occasion almost every time.
That was one of the cooler moments at Nats Park this season.
He's now hit safely 10 of his last 11 ball games, and that's his 4th double in this streak he's on that has 7 home runs and 19 batted in.
There goes the no-hitter to a standing ovation. That is the first time I've ever said that, and I mean, that's just storybook. You're getting about a minute standing ovation through 2 pitches, and you hit one off the wall. I thought he went deep for a second.
Well done, Nats fans. Low and inside to Clint Robbins.
That was super cool.
Robinson 1 for 4 against Whistler. 22-year-old rookie pitching to a 30-year-old rookie with a couple of runners on base. Target outside edge. Robinson to left center. And the Nats will lead 2-0. Welcome home indeed.
Yeah, that whole we got home at 5 in the morning thing don't play anymore. I mean, it's game time, and you're basically playing Game 7 every single night the rest of the season. So the Nats come out swinging. They don't care. Sleep when you're dead. Bryce Harper with a walk. Ryan Zimmermann with a double. Clint Robinson doing what he's been doing all year. Clutch. 2-0 Nats.
Here's Escobar, who has a run batted in against Whistler this year, 1 for 6, and that's on the inside edge. And I would also say well done Bryce Harper to get aboard on the 2-out walk to help make all of this happen.
Yeah, wouldn't you figure? You got a bad hip, you say I can play today, and it's a double in the gap, and you have to try to score from first.
Yeah.
It's baseball, man.
Escobar fights one off.
Scored.
Score early.
It's bueno.
First inning, 15 over. Scoring first overall, 22 over. RBIs for Robinson, by the way, numbers 26 and 27. And what a great swing to left center. Escobar takes it upstairs.
Like what Ryan said to Dan last night after the game, he didn't want to talk about it. When the hitter's locked in, you're not thinking about anything. That's why you're locked in. So when you start to talk about it to whomever, your wife, your friends, your family, a reporter, now you start thinking about it. And that's the beauty of being absolutely in the zone. You're not thinking. You're just being an athlete. You're reacting.
Big breaking ball to strike out Escobar, but a fantastic first inning for Ryan Zimmermann, Clint Robinson, and the Nats. 2-0. The guy on the right drove in the other two, and the Nats off to a really good start in this 4-game series. Numbers from STG. Last 11 between these two at Nats Park. 1 win for Atlanta. Nats have almost doubled up on the score. Starters ERA, no contest. Batting average, no contest. Home runs, domination, 10-3. Nats have beaten the Braves overall 9 out of 12 this year. Unbeaten here. And well, Freddie Gonzalez going through one of those things managers do when a ball club is rebuilding. Now, I was told that some of the deals they've made this year, and this week Johnny Gomes went to the Royals, but Chris Johnson to Cleveland, Kelly Johnson to the Mets, Juan Uribe to the Mets, Jim Johnson to the Dodgers. Those deals have brought the Braves some players they feel are legit big league prospects, and time will tell on those. Nick Swisher, haven't seen Nick in a while against the Nats. A couple of years ago with Cleveland, he's 3 for 5 career with an RBI against Jordan Zimmermann.
Tell you what, if you're a hitter tonight and you want to walk, you can walk. Because that strike zone's about the size of a tuna can right now.
Nick had surgery on both knees last year, and thus with Cleveland only played in 30 games. 21 now for the Braves. Mercedes-Benz truck in this.
Look at the first pitch. That was a ball. That's a ball. All 3 could have been called strikes.
All right, there's nothing on the outside edge to either righties or lefties. And Jordan Zimmermann has walked 3 of the first 5 batters.
Not missing by much, except for pitch number 4. He looks like the kind of guy that would have a tight strike zone, didn't he?
So here's Jace Peterson. And a balk is called. Sounded like Jerry Meals out at second base. So first pitch, ball 1 to all 5 batters, and now a balk.
Let's check it out again. He gets on the mound for the windup. There's a runner on first, and he went back with the left foot. That's the right call. He started his delivery and then went off with the right foot. Weird that he started out of the windup with a runner on first.
Yeah.
I've never seen Jordan do anything like that. Maybe a little bit rattled by that strike zone here early.
So Jace Peterson trying to bump one around the infield. Yeah, looking at Jordan's game log here. The last time he walked more than 2 batters was at Wrigley Field, May 26th.
Telling you,
up.
In his mind, he thought he had an out right there, even though there was a runner on first. That's why he started in the windup.
Makes sense.
It's a guy that never has a brain cramp, ever.
One ball and 2 strikes. Desmond keeping the runner close out there. And Jordan skips that one in there. Hit in the dirt. Not a lot Ramos could do on that wild pitch. So Nick Swisher has been given first, second, and third.
When Jordan Zimmermann is wild, we're talking a couple inches either way. Tonight he's thrown a couple 2-3 fastballs over Wilson Ramos's head and then buries that curveball about 59 feet in front of the plate. This is as wild as I've ever seen him. And he's
a really good breaking ball.
Kind of guy to make an adjustment on one pitch, so not worried.
Yes, he is.
This looks a little quick.
Peterson respectable in that department. Came in the Justin Upton deal. That was November of last year from San Diego to Atlanta. And Jordan Zimmermann, there we go. We talked about it last inning. There appear to be strikes available on the inside corner. 1 out and a big one.
And maybe Jordan's finding out where the strike zone is too, and it might be right at the knees. Good pitch by Zimmermann. Locks up Jace Peterson for the first out here in the second. Watch, right at the knees. Good frame by Ramos, sticking the landing, picking the ball up a hair. Good pitch.
Well, I don't know how general managers can do this, but Hector Olivera was acquired by the Braves in a 13-player trade involving the Dodgers and the Marlins on July 30th. That's going to score a run. Desmond backhand, plants and fires. Good play by Ian, who's had a couple of nice ones already. And Atlanta's on the board. Olivera from Cuba, his 3rd big league RBI in 3 games. That'll bring in Andrelton Simmons with 2 outs.
I mean, a 13-player trade's like a field trip. You got to put everybody in those fluorescent yellow shirts so you don't lose them.
I mean, 3 general managers and countless farm directors and minor league guys on the phone. It must take a week to do a deal like that. Here's Simmons, bases empty for the number 8 hitter. He only has 4 errors this year, leads all major league shortstops with a .993 fielding percentage. And with Simmons a part of it, he's helped turn 96 of the 145 Atlanta double plays. Only the Pirates have turned more in the National League. He's 4 for 25 career against Jordan Zimmermann. Bouncing ball right side. So the inning's going to end on a high note as Jordan does, his last 3 hitters. Ian Desmond's on fire. So's the guy behind him.
Park. Now, if it seems like the Nats have struggled a little bit this season against inexperienced starting pitchers, it's because they have. Coming into today, the Nats were just 6 and 12 against rookie starters this season. Obviously not the type of numbers that this ball club would like to see, or the type of numbers that you would expect against younger starting pitchers. Matt Williams said that as a hitter, you can see all the film you want, but stepping in the box against a guy who you haven't seen before is a different story. You need to know what he features, what the ball does, how he attacks, and that kind of plays out over the course of an outing. There's an adjustment period there that comes with seeing a guy who you don't know too well. Now, the Nats have faced Matt Whistler twice prior to today. Matt Williams says they have a good idea how he attacks, and they're getting 2 runs early on to start.
Yeah, and that totals up to 13 runs allowed in his first innings this year, 14 starts. So the Nats off to a good start. He threw 16 pitches, 10 strikes. Ian Desmond's 1 for 4 with a home run against him. And a breaking ball over, but in there, evidently.
You know how you beat rookie pitchers? You don't let them be comfortable and think that their stuff plays with you.
It's 1-1, by the way. Scoreboard has 0-2. So that was low. Desmond scorches this ball. That's going to short hop the wall. And Ian Desmond will cruise into second base. He's hitting over 300 his last 42 games. And that's his 23rd double of the year.
I mean, you could talk about, yeah, it takes a while to figure out a rookie pitcher. Maybe second, third time around you get him. But the way you get to a rookie pitcher is what the Nats are doing to Whistler right now. You hit some balls on the barrel, so all of a sudden his confidence is rattled, and he's thinking, wow, these guys can hit, and my stuff doesn't play at this level. But if you let him settle in and go through the lineup a time and a half or so, now his confidence builds, and he's like, I'm in the big leagues, and I'm mowing through the Nationals lineup. So you don't let them settle in. A lot like when you're playing a losing team. Don't let them think they can play with you.
Here's Wilson Ramos. So the Nats are 3 for 6 already with a base on balls. And Ramos, the bat is through the infield, but that does not extend his 10-game hitting streak. And Hector Oliveira was just moving to his left and let the bat go right behind it.
Good hustle by Adam.
Come on, Adam.
I mean, the Braves aren't going to help Wilson Ramos, so Adam has to run all the way out to left field, get the bat, give it back to Wilson Ramos. I mean, I don't blame the Braves. Wilson Ramos just tried to take one of them out.
Yeah. Adam's a great kid. He caddied one day for a bunch of us in spring training, and he didn't move that quickly. I can guarantee you that.
He is done for the rest of the game.
He is just a hoot around the clubhouse.
Get him some ice.
Yeah, he'll be getting some heat about that long run.
That was awesome.
Good pitch. 94 on the Matt Whistler heater. He and Desmond aboard, and Wilson Ramos during his 10-game streak, 14 for 37, hitting .378 with 3 home runs, 5 batted in. Nats trying to get that run right back that the Braves were given. Ball in the dirt, and a good secondary lead gets Ian Desmond to third base with nobody out. Great read. And I know you talk about this all the time. 0-2, pitch in the dirt, right?
Any count pitch in the dirt. It's just an attitude. It's a mindset, and you look for it as a base runner. When you're not stealing, you have nothing else to do but read down angle on the baseball. It's a great way to advance 90 feet. And now Wilson Ramos has a chance to drive in a run here, even though he's behind in the count 1-2. Love that kind of baseball. Yeah. If you teach that as a ball club, that's so many wins a season by just advancing 90 feet. If you have your whole ball club looking for balls in the dirt.
Ramos to the right side. So the Braves bring their infield in, but not as far in as you would later in a game. But I know you've talked about that 0-2 count before. You know, usually an off-speed count, right?
It has nothing to do with the count. It's who's hitting and what you think is coming. So if a guy's a good fastball hitter, he's not going to throw him a fastball. He's going to throw him a curveball. So you're thinking that on base. Now you're looking for something down in the dirt.
That'll get the job done. That ball's well hit. And Nick Markakis has it go off his glove. Ramos thundering into second base. And the Nats lead 3-1. They are swinging the bats tonight. And we'll see how they rule. It looked like Markakis was there. Still had to reach.
Well, give Ian Desmond all the credit in the world for this, because as a hitter, when you have 2 strikes, you're thinking about driving a guy in from second. It's a different mindset than having a runner on third. So that took a load off Wilson's mind right there. Now he's just thinking, elevate a ball. I get Ian Desmond in from third. He ends up barreling it up, and it's just in and out of the glove of Nick Markakis. That's a double all the way, no doubt about it. 3-1 Nats.
And now Jordan Zimmermann can bunt Ramos to third. It'll take a good bunt to do it. And he'll bunt it to the left side, and that's not going to get it done. And Wilson Ramos tagged out. Oliveira had to scramble a bit for the throw. That'll go 1-5.
Well, if Wilson Ramos is going hard right there, he has a chance to beat it, but he gives up on the play. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You can see for yourselves.
So Jason Worth will step in. Fly ball to right, his first time. On a really warm night, Jordan Zimmermann will have to run the bases now.
I think Wilson might got caught whether he wanted to go or not on that, because there wasn't a force out at third. So as a base runner in second, you're deciding, do I go or do I not go? He got caught in the middle. Maybe he didn't give up on the play. I'll back up a little bit on that one, but still could have slid into third.
0-2. And Worth a base hit. Jordan Zimmermann's a good base runner. He'll stop at second. Markakis charging it. And the Nats have 3 for 4 hitting safely here in the second inning.
Line is moving.
You know, but this is what you want to do. You've come off a hard-fought win last night. You're back home, and what a great start.
Tell you what, I looked at the Cardinals series like the Nats are playing pretty good baseball, and yeah, they had a couple hiccups late with the bullpen, but they had a chance to go into St. Louis, a team with the best record in baseball, the best home record in baseball, and sweep them. So that gives you kind of a taste of what kind of baseball they're playing right now, and it just seems like the Mets are playing the Phillies every night. So, I mean, if you look at it from that point of view, this team's playing pretty good ball, minus a few things they could have done better late. They'll tell you that. They'll be the first ones to tell you. But the total brand of baseball they're playing right now is good enough to go in and beat the Cardinals 3 games in a row.
Agreed. Jacob deGrom and Tom Kohler tomorrow night in Miami. So the Nats could take care of business here and be 6 back going into the weekend. And then this place will be jumping Monday afternoon for Labor Day when the Mets come visiting. One and 2. Anthony Rendon pulled it third base way. Hector Oliveira threw him out first time. And scrambling is A.J. Pierzynski to keep it close. More numbers from STG. Last 15 games, the Nats are winning 2 out of every 3. Almost 6 runs a game, hitting .280, on base percentage very good. And the power has been abundant. And that's with Bryce Harper hitting 1 home run over that time. Some of the other power guys have really picked up their games. 2-2 pitch. Inside, and Rendon takes that one. It appears off the hand.
He got smoked.
Bases loaded. Ballpark gets quiet in a hurry. So Matt Williams coming out. Now Lee Kuntz running up the steps.
So right hand, right? Or left hand? Left hand?
Yeah, front hand.
See it.
Wow.
Looked like the left digits.
Anthony's okay. So now the Nationals have a chance to really bust things here. Harper coming up. Roger McDowell, the Atlanta pitching coach, to the hill.
Index finger, look at it, it's already swollen. Left
first aid from Freddie Freeman, evidently.
There was a time when Freddie Freeman was so hot that would have healed Anthony Rendon's hand.
You are right.
I mean, straight, he'd be fine right now.
Well, division rivals who see a lot of each other, the Nats and the Braves. 7 games left with Atlanta, 7 left with Miami, 6 with the Mets, and home with the Phils. With some Baltimore thrown in there about a week and a half before the season's over. And of course, that's here. So here's Bryce with a big time chance to get up to the 80 RBI mark or beyond and give the Nats a healthy lead in this game.
Never hit a grand slam yet.
Got to pitch to him this time, right? Unless you want to let 1 run in instead of 3 or 4. Bryce is 0 for 1 career against Whistler with 2 walks, 1 tonight.
Oh yeah, pitch around him. The guy in debt can't hurt you at all.
Yeah. This is really a middle of the lineup doing some damage. Ball 2.
He's never hit a grand slam.
84. So Whistler went to the off speed to get a strike. Third base, Jordan Zimmermann, who bunted earlier. Jason Worth clean single to right, and then Anthony Rendon hit by that pitch. Off speed again, ball 3. Boy, this will be an interesting pitch.
Well, I'm being told, Bob, that he's never hit a grand slam.
And you've told me 3 times. Sugar Ray Marymount.
Seriously?
What, Sugar Ray, or he's never hit a grand slam?
Both. D, all the above.
3-1 pitch. Walked it. Bryce Harper gets RBI number 79 with a base on balls. We're told Ryan Zimmerman went nuts in St. Louis by our producer.
Yeah, I heard something about that. This one right on the green. I mean, I'm watching the difference in his approach. It's not so much the timing of the leg kick, it's his front side on the leg kick. He's really turning it in. So when he kicks his leg up, he's showing you the back of his numbers, and he's really staying close to the last second. What's that allow him to do? It lets him allow the ball to travel a little bit deeper. It's creating tons of torque throughout his swing.
4-1 Nationals. That ball skips in, blocked by Pierzynski. So the Nats have 3 hits in the inning, but given 2 other base runners on a hit batter and an RBI walk. '67 RBIs in 91 games. Tried to get in on him, and a misses in there, ball 2. And young Mr. Whistler might be 2 pitches away from being taken out. Not getting a lot of run support previously, but his last 6 times out, he's had a rough go. Wow. How about the first time up tonight?
Well, the double's cool, but the standing ovation was cooler. I mean, everybody's still standing after the first pitch, so it wasn't just he gets in the box and everybody sits down. They were still standing on the second pitch as the ball flies into the gap, almost leaves for a home run. So it went from a 2-pitch standing ovation to a serious frenzy as Ryan hit that ball in the gap. One of the coolest moments at the ballpark all year.
2-1 pitch. Zimmermann scorches one to center. Maben coming in. Jason Worth is the runner, and Ryan Zimmermann gets the RBI. The Nats lead 5-1.
Just a measly sac fly. Tell you, when you're locked in like him, that's what you're thinking, really.
Last 5 plate appearances: homer, homer, double, double, sac fly.
Good at bat.
And we might be looking at the National League Player of the Week right there.
He's feeling like he probably should have done a little more, just based on how he's feeling up there. Ball looks like a balloon.
So Clint Robinson now, who really got the Nats going with that 2-out, 2-run hit in this first inning. Now the Nats have added 3 more. Outside 2-0. Ball goes cutting in, 93, and it's 3-0.
I tell you what, in Whistler's defense, the Braves are rushing a lot of guys to the big leagues. They're having to learn at the highest level. That is not the easiest thing to do. A lot of young guys in their bullpen, a lot of young guys in their starting rotation. They've traded half their ball club over the winter and during the season.
In there.
He's got good stuff. He's just still trying to figure it out.
(3-1) with 2 outs. Drops the breaking ball in there. A good pitch. Counts full. And now Rendon and Harper will get a head start. Nissan will check it. Outside, bases loaded. Not too eager to challenge Clint Robinson with a fastball, and Matt Whistler's evening is done after an inning and 2/3.
And where he faced 14 hitters.
This call to the bullpen for Sugar Ray, packaged by the UPS Store, your one-stop shop for all your small business needs. Let us handle your mailbox service needs. We love logistics. It's that kind of summer event. That was a home run off Billy Wagner, his first at Shea Stadium, that tied a game in the 9th inning. Nationals won in extra innings. 4 years later at San Diego, opposite field home run, and then personal history for Ryan Zimmermann, number 200 in St. Louis last night. What a career.
I just think the 200's impressive, but with the same ball club. There's not a whole lot of players throughout the course of baseball history that can say that. I know there's some, but that's the coolest part of it for me, with the same club.
Well, let's hope he plays his whole career with the curly W on that jersey. Sugar Ray Marimon, 26 years of age. This guy's been in the minor leagues for over 8 years. He faces Yunel Escobar.
And a fastball 92, curveball 79, changeup 82 miles an hour for the Braves right-hander. And a $100 fine for the first broadcaster that mixes in a boxing joke here. It's too easy.
Okay.
Way too easy.
Upstairs, 2-0. And the strike zone elusive for Atlanta pitchers now. That was center cut, and that's a base hit. Rendon scores. Here comes Harper. Escobar drives in 2, and the Nationals lead 7-1.
Yeah, fastball right down the middle. Yunel Escobar tried to get some lift on this. Still barreled it up. Bullet past Oliveira at third. And you see Bryce Harper kind of taking it easy on his hip thing. I think the best part about 7-1, it might allow Matt Williams to get Bryce Harper off his feet here in a few.
Yeah, good call. Runners at first and second. Ian Desmond started all of this with a ringing double that one-hopped the wall in the left. So the Nats have batted around here in the second. Crowd buzzing about the offense they're witnessing right now. 7 runs on 6 hits. In the dirt. Some drop on that ball. This is the 9th time this year the Nats have had an inning of 5 runs or more. Last time, that first game at Dodger Stadium several weeks ago. 1-2 to Desmond. Upstairs, 2-2. Desmond swinging a miss. Big inning for the Nats. They put 5 on the board and lead it by 6.
Fans receive Nationals earbuds presented by T-Mobile. Got mine today. They are sweet. They're whites with a little red earbud on them. You'll love them. Visit nationals.com to purchase your tickets right now.
On to the top of the third. Jordan Zimmermann has everything to work with the pitcher could ask for here. 33 pitches, 15 strikes through 2 innings. Some numbers from STG. Fewest remaining games. The Nats have a makeup game with Cincinnati here late in the season, but this is what they have remaining versus teams with 500 records or more. Giants 4, Nats 6, Mets 9, including our ball club. And, of course, they've still got some subway action left against the Yankees. The Orioles 64-69 coming out of their rough stretch when they had a walk-off from Chris Davis last night to break a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, the Mets play the Yankees, I think, the weekend September 18th in that area. And the Nats play the Marlins that weekend, so you take care of business against the Mets coming up here. That's going to be a big weekend.
Yep.
I was looking today. The 2010 San Francisco Giants were 6 games back on August 28th. They were 1 game back on September 7th. So things can turn around quick. They won the division on the last game of the season. Everybody knows how that one ended. And I just think there's still time and there's still a way to do this. And I ain't giving up. I think they pull this off, or at least make it interesting.
Swing and a strikeout. Sugar Ray Marimon, by the way, 2 for 4 this year. Coming into that at bat, Mercedes-Benz will track it.
All right, elevated fastball, 93. Good late life. I think you find friends are Carp. I think fans and friends are very similar when you see stuff like you find out who your true friends are in time of adversity. And I think in sports in general, you find out who true fans are in time of adversity. It's funny to me, and it's always been funny as a former athlete, that ballparks are full and going crazy when a team is winning. That's when you need them the least. You need them the most when you're stuck.
They want to see you the most, right?
You need them the most when times are tough, just like you need your friends the most when times are tough. Mm-hmm. So right now, going down the stretch, trust me, these guys have a lot of home games. They want fans out here, and they still believe, and I think that's the most important thing. Stranger things have happened in baseball. There's not a long way to go, but this can be done.
0-2 pitch. And Nick Markakis, who walked first time, able to foul it off to the left. Into the 8 o'clock hour here at Nationals Park on a Thursday, early September. Nats back home where they are 37-26. BCFP, DK all back together. Johnny and Ray out there. All's well on Masson and on the scoreboard. It's in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Right side, Ryan Zimmermann to his right. He can underhand it to Jordan, and 2 outs in the 3rd.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one tonight, to look forward to Miller time later in the ball game. That is brought to you by Miller Lite.
Cameron Maybin. I tell you, he came close to giving the Braves a big first inning. Shot one up the middle. Jordan Zimmermann got a spike on it. It squirted behind the mound, and Ian Desmond came screaming in and threw him out by more than a step to keep the first 2 men from reaching. Freddie Freeman was the on-deck hitter when that happened. And that's on the outside edge. 1 ball, 1 strike, and it's good to see a strikeout there on that part of home plate. Well hit. Desmond to his left. Has it. Spins. Fires. And a 1-2-3 in the 3rd for Jordan Zimmermann.
He's robbed Cameron Maybin twice tonight with great plays.
And got Oliveira last inning. Each inning featuring a good gem by Ian Desmond. Wilson Ramos brings his 11-game hitting streak into the leadoff spot, third inning. Doubled off the glove of Nick Markakis, first time up. Front door breaking ball, and after thinking about it for a moment, Clint Fagan calls it strike one. Ramos now 474 during his hitting streak with 6 RBIs. Sharply to the left side, Andrelton Simmons, a little in between hop, handled it softly, 1 out.
It's time to tweet your strongest fan photo using hashtag NatsCouchCam. And we'll show you on a future broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile.
Jordan Zimmermann tried to bunt Ramos to third. First time up tonight. Didn't work out. Jordan had to run the bases for a while. Came around to score one of those 5 runs. Andrew McKirahan. Braves have 3 players out there in the bullpen who have come off Tommy John surgery one time or another last couple of years. Ross Detweiler's out there. Edwin Jackson is out there. They have 3 lefties and 7 right-handers in that bullpen. And they've gone to 1 already tonight. Sugar Ray Marimon. Jordan Zimmermann serves one to right. And that's his 7th base hit of the year.
Warm, humid night. Jordan on the pillows for the 2nd time. Reached on a fielder's choice his first time. Base hit to right his 2nd time. Nice swing.
6th base hit for the Nats. Everybody in the lineup has been on base already. Top of the order, Jason Worth. Fly ball to right, base hit to right. So you can see where he's got his swing aiming right now. They pitch him away. He's taking it that way.
Heard a few howls.
Turn that one over. The 83 changeup low. 1 ball, 1 strike. And a 1-2 that Jason reaches for. Big hop. Came up on Olivero and Worth able to beat the relay. So 5-4 on the fielder's choice. Jordan Zimmermann, a pitcher with a 7-1 lead, going into 2nd base right there.
Going pretty hard, too. Should get some high fives going back to the dugout for this one. You don't see this very often, regardless of the score. Watch this. Go get him, Zim.
Playing baseball.
That's playing hardball right there. I love it. I tell you, I've said it before. If I could do one thing one more time, put the uni on, put me on first base, a chopper to short, and just let me blow up a 2nd baseman on a double play. I missed that more than anything. That was cool.
Swing and a miss on a big uppercut swing by Anthony Rendon. Well, if you ever decide to do that early in the afternoon out here, don't call me.
Oh, please turn that double play. That'd be fun. Get a feel for it, Carl. You know what it's like to stand in there on the blind side, somebody coming to get you.
Yeah. I'll call the Redskins for a uniform, and then you can come and get me.
I still would. Something like that, though, all joking aside, really fires up a ball club. When you see your starting pitcher break up a double play, that gets, I mean, not that you need to tonight.
Great stroke up the middle by Anthony Rendon. And for the Nats, the hits keep on coming. 2 in the first, 3 in the second, and 2 more in the third inning. And that'll bring in Bryce Harper. And Bryce, I mean, he is sitting on a power keg. They've walked him twice, once for an RBI. Does Freddie Gonzalez have the hook here?
He's going matchups in the third.
So that's it for Marimon. He's been warming up Andrew McCurahan, and it'll be lefty-lefty, and it's only the third inning. Nats are rolling tonight. First time Bryce Harper and Andrew McCurahan will see each other. It's the bottom of the third inning.
2-pitch guy, fastball 93, slider 83. 19th appearance, ERA at 5.82, 19 strikeouts versus 7 walks, and the league hitting .315 against the Braves left-hander.
Andrew McCurahan from Austin, Texas, out of the University of Texas. (25 years of age, 6'2", 195. And Atlanta pitcher behind another batter. Harper takes one way outside, 2-0. Bryce walked 5 times in the St. Louis series. 0 for 2 last night before coming out. And now the walk total at 102. Joey Votto 116 for Cincinnati. Breaking ball, good eye, 3-0. Way outside.
Good take.
Walk number 3, and the bases are loaded.
Just missed. Lexus dealers are donating $250 to Children's National Health System for every home run a Nats player hits this season, so keep them coming. It's for a wonderful cause. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Ryan Zimmermann has 77 RBIs now. He could join Bryce Harper. Sorry, Zimmermann 68. Harper has 79. And Ryan could get into the 70s here in a moment. Facing a lefty, and he bolts a fastball in there.
These situations are fun when you're locked in. I mean, you're seeing the ball big. You got runners everywhere. You know there's nowhere to put you. You're going to get a strike. Just make it your strike.
No balls, one strike. Counts even. So Ryan, again, if you weren't with us a little while ago, last 5 at bats. Solo homer, RBI double. Double tonight that led to 2 runs and a sac fly. Tapper, third base way foul. Jason Worth reached on a fielder's choice after Jordan Zimmermann's single. Anthony Rendon cleanly hit one up the middle. That was a good sign, by the way. Anthony, after taking one off the hand, really hit the ball well up the middle, and then Harper walked for the 3rd time tonight and the 103rd time this year.
I think Ryan hit A.J. Krasinski's glove right there, and they had to reset.
1-2. Up and in. McCure had a waiver pickup from the Braves April 1st from the Marlins, who had taken him away from the Cubs in the Rule 5 draft. Right now Atlanta kind of piecing together a bullpen with a lot of young guys. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Inside. And here we go with the bases loaded and 2 outs and a payoff pitch.
Start him up.
Zimmermann to right field, a base hit. Markakis has to back up. That brings in 2 more runs. The Nationals lead 9-1, and Ryan Zimmermann has 70 RBIs. I don't remember him doing this much damage during the 30-game hitting streak 6 years ago.
I mean, it's just not a matter of if, but a matter of when right now. I mean, that whole at-bat, you're sitting here and you're watching the pitch going, it's flinching a little bit. Where's this one going to go? Where's it? Finally gets it on a 3-2 pitch. The fact that Markakis had to step back and play it on a hop because it was a short hop allowed Rendon to score. Even though he was going on the pitch, that still would have been close. Stay hot, Ryan Zimmermann. Who's hotter?
Amazing. 2 outs. Lefty-lefty matchup with Clint Robinson. He's been on base twice. 2-run extra base hit and a walk. Actually a single back in the first inning, drove in 2. Ryan Zimmermann, 2 RBIs on the average every game for his last 11 games. And now another Brave getting ready, Ryan Kelly. They're on their 3rd pitcher in the 3rd inning.
Well, September call-ups. You got extended bullpens, extended benches. You can manage like this after the September 1st call-up. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 relievers in the Braves bullpen.
Clint Robinson with a base hit, and it's 10-1. And it's a 3 RBI night for him. Harper scoring. Bryce, by the way, 3 runs tonight, 95 on the year.
The only guy without a hit, but he's walked 3 times.
Escobar, the 8th man to bat in this inning. The Nats sent up 10 men last inning.
wonder how long Bryce Harper's staying in this one.
Escobar 1 for 2, 2-run single in that second. And he's up on the attack against his old ball club. Escobar started in the big leagues with the Braves in 07, hit .326, 288, 299. 2010 he was hurt, hit only .238. Then on to Toronto for 3 years. Then Tampa Bay, and now here. Freddie Freeman gets a piece of it. Nobody covering first, and the bases are loaded. Great effort by Freddie Freeman, who almost robbed Escobar of a hit. And there are rockets flying, and we might have another pitching change. As mentioned, Ryan Kelly's been warming up. Freddie takes the ball. What a night. Nats have 10 runs on 11 hits, and it's the bottom of the third.
Presented by Hatfield, or be presented by Hatfield, returns Wednesday, September 9th. Nats and the Mets. Pretty big game, I'm hearing. Dollar hot dogs will be available for purchase at all Nats dog stands until the start of the 6th inning. Go to Nationals.com right now to get hot dogs and tickets to watch the Nats play the Mets.
Ian Desmond will face 27-year-old right-hander Ryan Kelly, who takes over for the Braves here. 10th appearance, 8.22 ERA. 13 hits, 7 earned runs in 7 2/3.
Fastball 92, he'll cut the fastball at 88, and he has a curveball that averages 78 miles an hour.
Ian Desmond 1 for 2 with a double, a run scored. This season was Kelly's 12th minor league season. Now part of the Braves bullpen, and that's a strike up in the zone. Pretty good hook, diving down and away.
I'm telling you what, there's no mercy in games like this. This is the big leagues. And tonight, and nights like tonight, you make up for the Kershaws and the Greinke's. So if you got 2 hits, you want 5. If you got 3 hits, you want 6. I mean, there's no satisfaction in being up 10-1. You have to take those games where you didn't have a chance out on somebody, and tonight's the night.
So Ian Desmond, the ninth man to bat in the inning, strikes out. The Nats will pick up 3 more. Zimmermann drives in 2. Escobar also. At Potomac, 12-7, good ERA. Look at the strikeouts and the walks. Out of Texas State, and he was just drafted last year at high A ball already. Well done. Here's Freddie Freeman, top of the 4th inning. Freeman hits one extremely hard to left, and Clint Robinson runs it down. That ball really hit hard, and Clint got a good look at that. 7 straight for Jordan Zimmermann.
Tell you what, when those balls are right off the bat and you're in left field, you're thinking that's in the gap. But when a left-hander hits it, it's got that inside-out rotation, and it actually comes back to you. So your first instinct is, and then all of a sudden the ball comes right to you. Nice play by Robinson.
Here's A.J. Pierzynski, and that's inside, ball 1.
Clint's gotten a lot better out there. He was scared himself, I think, early in the season because he had never played out there. But you watch him more and more, you're just making the routine plays.
Little flare to right, and that is the first Atlanta hit of the night. Off the bat of Pierzynski. I'm looking at the scoreboard, and the totals were 10-11-0 Nats, 1-0-0 Braves. And they finally get their first knock. Nick Swisher walked his first time. And Jordan goes off speed to steal a strike.
No-hitters are so much fun to watch, and Jordan's no-hitter last year against the Marlins, the first one I ever saw. 25 years of professional baseball, but I feel like that's it. They're fun to watch, and you eventually pay for them down the road.
A lot of guys have.
So that's not the worst thing in the world. The Braves got a hit in the 10-1 delay.
Well, Max Scherzer, some second half issues.
Boy,
I mean, he had that stretch where he was like going 8, 9, 9, 8 and a third. 5 or 6 starts in a row, way beyond 7 innings.
He was good last night. Real good.
Yeah, he battled. 88 down and in. Jordan Zimmermann, 3rd strikeout. And 2 outs in the 4th. Nissan will track it.
Yeah, tight late slider. Tough to pick up. You see Nick Swisher shaking his head like, yeah. Okay, that was a good pitch. It beat me right there. I get it. A lot of lefties would have trouble with that one.
Jace Peterson's, he actually took strike 3 first time 2 innings ago. So he's in swing mode here. Peterson 4 for 14 career against Jordan Zimmermann. And he goes soft and gets a grounder. Ryan Zimmerman comes forward to grab it before it could spin foul. And Jordan keeps on cruising thanks to Ryan and his teammates and all this offense. The line, and Abe pulling Tom down early there, and Calvin fights off Bill.
Calvin Klein with the win.
Wow, he was motoring.
Abe 18, Bill 14, Teddy 14, and Mass and Dan 0. 0.
Yeah, but 0's better than DQ'd.
Participation trophy.
Yeah,
just like in soccer.
That was awesome. Ramos, Zimmerman, and Worth, and Wilson goes up hacking. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI double. The ground ball to short. Hit both balls hard. It's the bottom of the 4th inning, and the Nats lead 10-1. Only a few games in the league tonight. Most of them in the West later. Right now, Pirates at Milwaukee scoreless. Pittsburgh's had a big-time problem with the Brewers losing 3 in a row. They're 6 back of St. Louis, who's idle. Up and in. 1-1. Over in the American League, one final. White Sox beat Minnesota. On the other game, Detroit at Kansas City. So kind of a quiet night around the league. Mets at Miami tomorrow. Stays up. Ryan Kelly. Ramos stings another base hit up the middle. That's now 400 during his streak. 16 for 40. Labor Day weekend's coming up, and you can spend an extended weekend at home with us here. No added tickets and fees. No added fees on the tickets for game through September 9th against the Braves and the Mets. So go by nationals.com/stay to purchase your tickets.
Probably swinging away here, I would imagine.
Wilson Ramos batting .400 during his streak. Jordan Zimmermann 1 for 2 with the fielder's choice bunt and a base hit to right. Pops it up. And the center fielder wants it. Cameron Maybin for the first out. Top of the order, it'll be Worth and Rendon, the next two. Jason Worth got the Nats on the board in the third inning. They were behind when he did this.
That big guy stepped up big time last night. Jason Worth, Ryan Zimmermann. This one on the putting green in center field.
Yeah, Brandon Moss had homered for St. Louis, and Jason tied it up. Ryan Zimmermann took it from there, the last 3 RBIs. On the inside edge.
I'm hearing the howls, but they're pretty high pitched. We need to get some bass in those howls. I'm still going to push for this. 40,000 people howling at the same time would be sick. Everybody at once, right? No?
Yeah, I think it'd be scary.
In a row? All right. That'd be cool.
Now some clapping for a rally, and that's a high fly ball right side. Freddie Freeman checking out the tarp, and he's there. Second out in the 4th inning. Got to bring in Anthony Rendon.
Not too many nights as a hitter do you have 4 at-bats in the 4th inning. Jason Worth with his 4th. Anthony Rendon with his 4th plate appearance here.
Two runs scored. Ground ball hit by a pitch. Evidently okay from that. Well, we saw him hit a solid single up the middle last time up. Counts even, 1-1. Breaking ball. That was center cut. He hit it well. Out to center, and Maidman runs it down. Leadoff hit by Ramos. The Nats are gone in the fourth and leading by 9. Follow the Nats when you're on the road. Check them out. MLB.com at bat, #1 app for live baseball, look-ins, highlights, replays, scores, StatCast. Get the MLB.com at bat app right now. Take it right down the stretch to the pennant races. Here's Hector Oliveira, who hit an RBI ground ball to Ian Desmond first time up. Up there free swinging, got a piece of that. No balls, 2 strikes.
61 pitches, 42 fastballs, 6 sliders, 13 curves for Jordan Zimmermann. Or curls.
Target in. Fastball up and in. And this one up in the air to the right side. Ryan Zimmermann stopping. Onto the track a couple of steps. First out, 5th inning. Yeah, this is one of those nights when it could really benefit Jordan Zimmermann 5 days from now. The score would allow you, once he qualifies for a possible win, to take him out anytime you want. Have the bullpen take care of business. Boy, and in September, it is so important to have your starters as fresh as they can for every start. Rendon's going to get to that. Just whips it right across his body over to Ryan Zimmermann. 2 outs. Good looking play.
I also think you have to treat every game from here on out like it's game 7. So that said, we'll see what Matt Williams does here with Jordan Zimmermann. 9-run lead.
Daniel Castro will be the pinch hitter here in the 5th inning for the reliever Ryan Kelly.
You also need your bullpen to be fresh too.
Exactly.
Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, Ross Deadweiler. Went from the Nats to the Texas organization and has now resurfaced with the Braves at the big league level. And a ball popped up out of play.
Well, I hope he gets a nice ovation when he's introduced. I think he will.
Hey, still has pitched one of the great postseason games in the history of this ball club.
He was a good Nat, that's for sure.
Looked like a swing. It is. Paul Emmel punches out. Daniel Castro in the 5th inning is over. So Jordan Zimmermann cruising with a big, big lead.
Vice on any device with Cox. 10-1 Nats. It's been all Nats tonight. Ryan Zimmermann, stay hot. Bryce Harper, stay hot. Jordan Zimmermann with a one-hitter going. But how about Clint Robinson doing his thing, what he's done all season long? First inning base hit for Robinson. Line was moving, and it got him on the board. So second and third, 2 outs. Robinson comes through with RBIs number 28 and 29. Put the Nats up, and they haven't looked back, folks. It's been a fun one to watch if you like offense. Offense is cool.
Old friend on the mound here, Ross Detweiler for the Atlanta Braves. 29 years of age now. Ross has had a rough year with Texas. 0-5, a 7.12 ERA, 17 games, 7 starts. This will be his 21st game for the Braves with a win and a 6.23 ERA. He had quite a season in 2012 when the Nats went to the playoffs. He went 10-8, made 27 starts. Under the hands of Bryce Harper. After walking 3 times, it's 3-0.
I don't think you swing up 9-3-0 in the 5th, but different managers have different philosophies.
Bryce taking.
And the reason you don't is you just really don't want to wake anybody up. You don't want to rub it in. You're already up 9 runs. And if you're swinging from your heels and your helmet's falling off, you might get somebody hurt with a hit by pitch.
Another strike, and it's 3-2. See what he shook to. 93 cutting outside, and Bryce Harper. I almost called him Bryce Walker. I guess I should. 4 times tonight.
So check out Ryan Zimmermann, young to now. So you see his stance all the way on the left, the stance in the middle, the stance on the right. I want you to see the evolution of the leg kick, and watch the one on the right. Let's watch this one. Look at how he's turning it in. So it's toward the catcher. This is just last night. And the shoulder, look at the shoulder, how closed it is. And now he's just kind of uncoiling all at once. You can run it, guys, and show the swings. Hard to look at them all at once, but the last one much better than the other ones, and the other ones were really good too. And you saw the swing right there. And by keeping the kind of showing the pitcher your left hip pocket, your left back pocket, you're really staying closed. See how he's right there keeping his backside closed, his front shoulder closed, and just unwinding on the baseball. I mean, that's fun to watch when it's all working together. He's got so much stuff going on, but when it's in sync, look out.
0-1 pitch. That homer on the left, his first ever, was a 9th inning game-tying home run against Billy Wagner on a night when it was about 40 degrees at Shea Stadium. And the Nats won in an extra innings.
It was almost like showing the missing link, you know, when they're on all fours and then they're a little higher and the last one was the tallest.
Yeah. He got his tippy toes in 2020.
Strike 2 to Ryan right there. Beat him. The pitch before that, he did his leg kick real quick and it was on him. So sometimes, even with that timing thing, when you're locked in, it's not just right, but he made the adjustment on that last one. Got it up, got it down.
Perfect night. Double, single, sac fly, and fair ball into the left field corner. Harper heading for third. Bob Henley's going to send him. The relay is coming home, and Bryce touches it with his hand with a beautiful outside slide, getting Ryan Zimmermann another RBI, 71 on the year. This is unbelievable.
So watch how early he gets it up here and then gets it down. You couldn't see from that angle. We'll show it to you again. But the double, I mean, was there any doubt if it was fair or foul? When you're locked in, it's fair. When you're struggling, it's foul every single time, trust me. And we'll watch Bryce Harper run with the left hip thing going on. He had some physical therapy before the game and does a nice job of hustling to get Ryan an RBI. Good base running by Bryce. And stay hotter, Ryan Zimmermann. Wow. My goodness. Fun to watch.
8-game hitting streak, 10 of 11. So that's another RBI. 23 in his last 11 games. As animated as you'll ever see Jordan Zimmermann. You know, that shows you something about Bryce Harper. He ran hard enough that Bob Henley would send him with nobody out. And what a fantastic slide to finish it off.
Nobody could beat the slide Josh Donaldson did for the Blue Jays last night.
That was crazy.
That was artistic.
I thought they had him. Check swing by Clint on 0-2, and he stays alive.
Let me show you some adjustments that Ryan made in the course of that at-bat here in a second. We get a chance.
Strike call to Robinson, and Ross Detweiler gets his first out.
So strike 2, watch Ryan Zimmermann's leg kick. The ball jumps on him. Watch. He wants to swing, but watch, he's a little bit late with it. Look, it's down, and you can see the way he took it that he's just a hair late. So the foul ball, he was on time, so you can tell he made the adjustment. Watch how much earlier it is here, and the curveball actually speeds him up by Ross Detweiler, and he catches it out front. So sometimes different pitchers with different rhythms out of the stretch, you have to get your timing down when you're facing a guy one time. He took the second strike, made the adjustment, double RBI, pro hitter.
Kind of a ball game Yunel Escobar likes. He can go up hacking. 2 for 3 tonight. 2-run single, second inning. That capped off that frame with runs number 4 and 5 to make it 7-1. Two-2 pitch. Off speed, the changeup, blown away. Escobar 1 for 4 career against Detweiler with an RBI. Walked it. 3 of 4 Nats have reached, including Harper and Escobar walking. Still only 1 out now. Ian Desmond coming in. Crowd catching its breath here. Two and 0. And that gets away from A.J. Pierzynski on ball 3. Well, Detweiler having a hard time locating here in the 5th inning. Four-pitch walk, and the bases are loaded.
Yeah, he's not throwing it. You could tell the difference. He's kind of aiming it in there, wishing it in there. He's not letting it rip. I mean, seeing him for all those years as a national. That's when he got into trouble, when he started feeling for it. Remember he threw 96, 97, didn't have a care in the world. That's when he was pounding the strike zone. He threw about 80% fastballs and said, here it is, hit it. Confidence will do wonders for your stuff.
Wilson Ramos, a big night, 2 for 3. Another hit, he'll be up around 250. And Detweiler with a good 94 to the outside half. Oh yeah, he has another RBI this inning. And there's Escobar behind Zimmermann. Desmond at first. 1-1 pitch with 1 out, and Ramos took a big rip.
Good swing right on it. Peter Moylan getting loose for the Braves.
Peter Moylan, forever a part of Nats Park history. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Ramos to right. In the air. Markakis approaching the line. Ryan Zimmermann, the runner. Here he comes. He will score. Touches the plate. Does a shoulder roll. And the Nats lead 12-1 as Wilson Ramos gets his second RBI of the night. The runner stayed. 2 down.
Well, that was don't get hurt Ryan Zimmermann. Anybody else holding their breath at home? I was.
Yeah.
I mean, an RBI is an RBI. You want to get your teammate an RBI, but a very strange slide by Ryan. I think he just kind of catches a cleat right there, and his momentum takes him into a barrel roll. And far too eventful. An 11-1 game, make it 12 on the sac fly. I mean, that's the guy that's going to have a sore back from carrying this ball club for the month of September. He can't get hurt.
Jordan Zimmermann, 5th inning, 4th at bat for the pitcher. Seventh man to bat in this inning, and a swing and a miss against an old teammate. 0-2. Detweiler with a fastball and a strikeout. Nats pick up 2 runs. RBIs by Zimmermann and Ramos. And this ball club is rolling.
Out, he's a little amped up, quick. Had trouble finding the strike zone early on. Had a couple walks in the first inning. Team scored him some runs. Like we said, he'd make the adjustment. True pro out there. Figured it out. Nasty slider right there. Another good slider. So the slider's been good for Jordan tonight. Curveball as well. He's cruising with an 11-run lead. Now it's time for Toyota Keys for Kids. Washington area Toyota dealers want to help children and their families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season.
67 pitches, 41 strikes. He just had an 8-pitch 5th inning. And here's Nick Markakis, a walk and a bouncing ball out. Getting first pitch strikes he is now. Starting the third time through the Atlanta batting order. Oh, 2. Nick Markakis, a road warrior this year, hitting .320 away from Turner Field. 5th best batting average by anybody in the league. Bryce Harper right ahead of him at .322. And one of the leading hit guys in the league this season, the 152, 4th most. Swing and a miss, 82. Jordan Zimmermann dropping the off speed for strikeout number 5. Braves box, 1 hit, a flare to right by A.J. Pierzynski back in the 4th. Jordan pitched around a couple of walks in the first with a double play line drive on the infield. Walk, balk, wild pitch, ground ball. The only reason that the Braves got a run in the 2nd inning. Danny Barawa. One ball and 2 strikes to Maben 0 for 2. And Ian Desmond's a big reason he's 0 for 2. That'll spin him around to his right to get out of there. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tanner Roark goes for the Nats tomorrow against Julio Teheran. Gio Saturday, Joe Ross Sunday, and then the Nats have Max Scherzer lined up to get after the Mets on Labor Day.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a blast. Gio, he'll be looking for win number 10 in game 3 of this series. 2-2 pitch. Out of play to the right side. Ball driven to right and out of play. Right now, bootleg weather says 88 and partly sunny on Monday. Could be a hot day at the yard.
Perfect baseball weather.
Here's Mercedes-Benz with a pretty long at bat between Maben and Zimmermann. Good battle here. Pitch number 8. Slider hammered into left. And finally, Cameron Maben hit one where Ian Desmond couldn't reach it. Second Atlanta hit and the hardest hit ball of the night to go along with that Freddie Freeman drive 2 innings ago, caught by Robinson left center.
A good at bat by Cameron Maben. He fouled off some tough pitches. He was having good hacks the whole time. You could tell he was seeing Jordan.
Freeman just took a little peek at that big hole between Zimmermann and Rendon. 1-0 pitch, way inside.
Well, the times the Nats have had success with Freddie Freeman this year, it's been inside with the fastball. He let him get extended. He likes to drive the ball the other way. He likes to pull off speed. You can tie him up with a good heater in. Inside the numbers and what the Braves are going to. 500
for more than half the season and 12 of 49 since. And they're building toward the opening of their new ballpark in 2017 up in Marietta, north of Atlanta. Construction well underway. And Freddie Freeman takes a walk with 1 out, 2 on.
If you build it, they will come, but you better be good or they ain't going to come back.
Yeah. You know, and it's similar. John Hart, of course, running the show now. Great baseball man. And, of course, when he was in Cleveland, they had a new ballpark on the way. Got all their young players locked up. But, I mean, those guys were Jim Thome and Robbie Alomar and Sandy Alomar, pardon me, Manny Ramirez. I mean, that team was loaded. They brought in Omar Vizquel. Had great success there. Not an easy thing to do.
Carlos Baerga.
Yeah, those guys could play. There's Sammy Solis. Jordan Zimmermann up in the mid-80s on his pitch count here. Brzezinski 1 for 2. But the guys, the Braves told me today that concrete has been poured. You can see the outline of the stadium. Piers are going up. It's rising out of the ground. This is 463 Rendon Desmond. And retired as A.J. Brzezinski, and Jordan Zimmermann is now through 6 innings for the 22nd time this year.
To their 6th pitcher of the game. We're in the 6th inning. They're able to do that because of expanded rosters, which teams are allowed to use come September 1st. And there are some people in the game who don't necessarily love expanded rosters just because it makes the game so different in September. First of all, they're longer, but there's so many more substitutions that it becomes much more of a matchup game. Derek Gould, who covers the Cardinals for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, suggested an idea which essentially kind of plays off the healthy scratch idea that they use in the NHL, where before a series, teams would designate 25 players for that series. It would allow them, if they wanted to, an extra left-handed reliever, an extra speedster. They could still have the benefit of the added rosters, but it wouldn't really lengthen the games because you'd only have 25 guys that you could use. Interesting idea.
Yeah, we've heard different proposals over the years. By the way, there's Ryan Lavarnway now catching for the Braves. We're about to break out most of those rosters over the next several innings of this game. And the right-hander, by the way, is 26-year-old Danny Barawa.
Well, I like the idea.
Yeah, mix and match with a series at a time. Instead of having 35 hands on deck for every game.
Well, it's not that. It's that some teams have 35 guys and some teams have 29 guys.
Yeah.
So now you get an uneven competition going. And I guess you could say, well, if you don't like it, call up all 40 guys. I mean, but still, it's just. I always thought it was unfair in September, I should say, that certain teams had more players than others and certain managers had more at their disposal than others. And even from a safety standpoint, if I get into a brawl with a team that has 36 guys and we only have 28, I mean, it's happened before in September. You don't see as much fighting in baseball anymore because everybody's hugging and tweeting each other. But, you know, back in the day when you got in fights, that would be an unfair advantage.
2-2 to Tyler Moore, recalled today. Way inside. Counts 3-2.
It's why you can't have guys on the disabled list on your bench. They're not allowed to be in uniform on the bench because if there's a brawl and they go out in a brawl, it's an unfair advantage to the other team because you might have 26 or 27 or 28 guys in your dugout. The other team might have 25. So guys used to go put their jackets on and go in brawls when they're on the DL so they didn't get fined. The jackets without a name on the back.
A.J. Cole back today with Tyler Moore, and this ball is hit a ton. That will hop off the left center field wall, and welcome back to the big leagues. Tyler Moore, his 31st hit of the year. He had just made it back to the 200 batting average mark when he turned that ankle. And a great swing by Tyler, who will stay in the game and play some outfield.
Well, went down, got some hacks. Timing looks good. Got a two-seam fastball up and in. Pulls his hands in, and his ankle looked pretty good running into second base. So check every box for Tyler Moore. Double in the gap. Good for him. That's a good swing.
Here's Matt Dendecker, who will bat for Bryce Harper. Bryce tying a personal high with 4 runs scored tonight, and that was after 4 walks. Anthony Rendon's been aboard a couple of times, and that's way inside. You know, and there was a lot of talk around baseball last year. I know Joe Torre had been quoted about saying baseball has to do something about the expanded rosters to do, as you say, keep it equal for everybody. But we haven't heard a whisper about it this year.
Maybe because it's September 3rd. I didn't make it a number. Okay, 32.
Yeah, 30, 32, whatever.
32.
Just do it.
And you have to call up 32 guys.
And I think, you know, FP, you're still able to meet the needs of your ball club, while at the same time rewarding some of your guys at AA, AAA who deserve their first cup of coffee in the big leagues. And some of them will come up and never go back. 3-1.
Check this out.
Have at it, folks.
Boom.
Tyler Moore couldn't even get on there.
Sorry, folks.
He just hit a ball 380 and can't get on the box score.
Bryce Harper's is the one that stuck out to me. You could have sent his cleats up there tonight.
By the way, Bryce also scored 4 runs on August 18th at Colorado. The all-time record for the Nats is 5, done 3 times. Looks like Austin Kearns, Wilson Ramos, and the hammer Josh Willingham. Bryce, by the way, had his second 4-walk career game. So here's Matt Dendecker hitting for him, and he goes up swinging. And a ball for Nick Swisher drifting toward the corner. And with runners at first and second, they will remain on the first out. Now it looks like Danny Espinosa for Ryan Zimmermann. Bryce Harper, evidently the 4th player in Major League history to score 4 runs without having an official at bat in a game. Joe Morgan, Ricky Henderson, Larry Doby. No at bats. 4 runs scored, no official at bats, and Bryce Harper joins them.
Yeah, anytime you get on a list with 3 other players that have done it in the history of the game, that's pretty cool.
I think the only the thing that I haven't liked over the years is the fact that baseball's the only sport where in the last month of the season pennant races are going on, and then you play a different kind of game than you played for 5 months to get there.
You're right. You would spice up the pennant race, let lions loose on the field once a week. Just let them run free during the game.
I mean, if you're planning on a visit to Rome during the offseason,
if you're going to tinker with the game and try to make it better, go all out.
Yeah, I can't go with you on that one. There's a bouncing ball left side, and Danny Espinosa has a base hit. And the Sox will be loaded here with 1 out, 6th inning. So Tyler Moore stops at 3rd, Rendon at 2nd, and Danny Espinosa checks in. And by the way, the cleanup spot, the magic spot tonight, 4 for 4 with the sac flies, Zimmermann and Espinosa.
6th time the Nats have had the bases loaded tonight. And that little ground ball in the 5.5 hole would have been so much more interesting had there been a wild animal in short left field. I'm just saying. In a 12-1 game. I mean, pick any one. It doesn't have to be a line. Tiger alert.
Robinson 2 for 3, 3 RBIs and a base on balls. "13 opportunities with runners in scoring position, and the Nats better than 500. And Robinson lifting 1 out to left field, circling behind it, Swisher. Tyler Moore is coming home, digging and sliding. He scores, the ball gets by, and the Nats lead 13-1. So for Clint Robinson, a 4 RBI night. No further advancement by the base runners with the pitcher backing up.
Well, there might be some people that think, well, you don't tag up on a short fly ball up as many runs as the Nats are. If the Braves were doing this to the Nats, I would say the same thing. A sac fly is a sac fly, and you're trying to get your teammate an RBI and save him from an at-bat. And Tyler Moore might have been out right there if A.J. Przinsky, the catcher, hangs on to that ball. Lavarnway hangs on to that. Would have had a play.
Sixth man to bat in the inning, Yunel Escobar. He's been aboard 3 times. Now, the Nats this year have scored 577 runs. They've scored 13 against Atlanta 3 times. Now, that guy had something to do with one of those.
Ready? If he's not ready, I'll take it.
Ian Desmond, I just heard him say something on the mics. He says, if he's not ready, I'll take the at-bat. And I think he's talking about Trey Turner hitting right here for him.
Okay.
I mean, that's such a pro thing to do. He didn't want the rookie to rush and get up there. You know, sometimes as a staff, you make a late decision like, hey, you're hitting for Desmond. And if Trey Turner is not loose, you don't want the kid to go up there in his first go-around in the big leagues if he's not ready. And I heard Ian Desmond say, if he's not ready, I'll take the at-bat.
.30 pitch. Escobar walks out. It's right in there. 15 hits, 13 runs. That's in there, 3-2.
Correct something I said earlier. You can be on the bench if you're on the DL. You can't leave the bench if you're on the DL. I think I said you can't be on the bench. You just can't leave the bench to go out on the field.
Escobar to left center. That'll bring in Rendon. And then an adventure out there for Nick Swisher. But by that time, Danny Espinosa had been held. 14-1. Daniel Escobar has 3 hits and 3 RBIs tonight. Roger McDowell to the mound.
All right, here's your fan photo. Michael Lewis. Your T-Mobile strong couch cam fan, T-Mobile fan deal photo in the bottom of the screen. You could be on TV too, folks. Good seats, guys. Those are great seats, actually. Right by the foul pole, in right field. I run the stairs here at Nats Park a lot because I live down the street. Right there, down by the Jackie Robinson, right by the foul pole in the front row, are awesome seats. Front row of the upper deck, looking right at home plate.
I think any seat,
those right there,
yeah, where people aren't standing in front of you is a great seat. Like those first rows. 2-0 pitch. Ian Desmond a double, a walk, a run scored. 3-1 pitch, a chopper to third. He's hustling. Here comes Oliveira. And on the run, he makes a good throw. Nats pick up 2 more runs. They've had 1 inning tonight without scoring, 14-1. This one's going to kind of look like a spring training affair to nail down a very important win for the Nats. But here's the new defense. So Danny Espinosa in to play left. Den Decker in to play center. Clint Robinson moves to right. Trey Turner for Ian Desmond at short. Tyler Moore at first base for Ryan Zimmermann. Sammy Solis, his first appearance for Matt Williams since returning.
With fastball 93, curveball 82, changeup 84.
Nick Swisher, the hitter. Pretty sure the first time Sammy was called up this year, the Nats were in Atlanta. And that fastball is ripped, but he's out ahead of it into the left field corner. Nick Markakis, Cameron Maybin, and Andrelton Simmons are the three Braves Sammy has faced. Top of the seventh inning, 14-1 Washington. On a night when the Nats can go 3 up on the 500 mark and get back to within 6 of the idle Mets.
Nats dropped an area code the first 3 innings, 253. I looked it up. That's Tacoma or south of Puget Sound.
Outside 2-2. So Jordan Zimmermann, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, walked 4, struck out 5, couple of double play balls, 86 pitches, 53 strikes, and he will be in good shape for his next start Tuesday against the Mets. On the inside edge, Sammy Solis strikes out an unhappy Nick Swisher. Nissan will track it.
Nick Swisher thought it was inside, and pitch track did too.
That'll bring in Jace Peterson.
Tough pitch to pull the trigger on, but veteran players know that when the game's like this, you better come up hacking because umpires are looking for strikes.
Peterson a strikeout looking and a bouncing ball to first.
Good tempo by Sammy, getting it and going. Get a sign, throw a strike. I like it.
Two balls and 2 strikes. This is one of those nights where maybe we don't notice this as much as we would on another evening without the runs, but first 2 innings, Jordan Zimmermann's strike percentage was 45%, and then for the next 4 innings, 72% strikes. This one high in the air and playable. Escobar near the barrier, and he never got to it.
Looks like he shied away because of, remember at the time he ran into a fan, he's got the bad neck. He wanted nothing to do with the wall on a 14-1 game and stopped far short of it.
Right about that same spot where he did a face plant into the chest of a Nats fan over there, knocking that gentleman down and then wrenching his neck. 2-2 pitch, and that's foul. Bo Porter picks it up, former Net coach. Got to manage in Houston for a while and didn't work out well for him there. He wasn't happy about the way things worked out, but he's a solid guy in that Atlanta staff. 2-2 pitch. Whoa, look out. A check swing and screaming into the seats. It's a good baseball man right there who brings a lot of energy to any clubhouse, any staff. Got him. Sammy Solis comes out firing strikes.
Pretty good pitch, 83 off speed, right on the corner, gets the call.
Yeah, he was all over the strike zone in that 9-pitch at bat. Peterson gone, now Hector Oliveira the hitter. Look out, Terry Pendleton. Heartbreaking ball down and in, sounded like a foul tip. 0-2. Yeah, you may not think that's that big of a deal. 14-1 game, but you've been out of the big leagues for a couple of months, and Sammy comes out smoking. Ryan Zimmermann, larger than life as we get to the Hyundai 7th inning stretch. That's about how he looks to opposing pitchers right now. Is presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals. Nice crowd Thursday night, having a good time as the team returns home and drops a 14 on the Atlanta Braves. Third time in the history of this ballpark the Nats have done that. So here's the do-ups brought to you by Honda. Wilson Ramos is red hot, right around 400 during his streak. Turner trade, that is, seeking his first big league hit. And then Tyler Moore already has a hit tonight. Peter Moylan, the man on the first night of this ballpark back in 08, gave up the game-winning home run to Ryan Zimmermann.
10th appearance, ERA at 6.23. Opponent's hitting .316 off Peter Moylan.
Yeah, this is a far cry from the pitching staff and the bullpen the Braves had just, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago. A lot of talent has gone elsewhere. Basically building a new organization surrounding foundation players like Freddie Freeman, Andrelton Simmons, and we'll see who else falls into that category.
I don't think Buffaloes need rest because they have 4 legs. But Wilson Ramos caught a 3.5-hour game last night. Got in late. Is still in this one.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
The switcher goes to first, by the way.
He doesn't need rest. Remember, he had that Iron Man streak behind the plate a couple years ago. Caught all those games in a row.
Yeah. That's a big breaking ball. Hard for any right-hander to reach. So with Swisher at first and Adonis Garcia in left, Trey Turner will step in, still seeking that first big league hit. He is 0 for 9 in 7 games.
Well, tonight's the night.
Fastball bounced out to second. On the run, Peterson. And the ball kind of boxed there by Swisher. And will they say that Trey was already at the bag? We'll see.
Well, we had traveling by Jace Peterson. He double clutched right here. So that helps the process. And then would he have beaten the throw?
I think so.
I think so. I think that's a hit. And on a night when the Nats have 16 hits, why not 17? And a first big league knock. I can't see. Let's see. So
it's a knock on the scoreboard.
I heard the cheer in the background. So Trey Turner, first big league knock. Congratulations.
And as you often say, he now has a batting average.
I didn't see him throw the ball out. Did I miss that? Did they?
I hope they did.
Okay, I missed it. It's in the dugout. Small panic right there.
I had a bit of a small panic too when Ryan Zimmermann's home run ball went into the bleachers last night in St. Louis, came out, and the last I saw of it, it was heading for one of the guards over on the first baseline. So I'm hoping they retrieve Ryan's ball from last night. And evidently there was an exchange made. A family ended up with it, and there's the authenticator.
Major League Baseball authenticator guy, Trey Turner's first big league knock, going on the mantle for the rest of his life.
The hologram. The coveted hologram.
That in about 15 to 20 years will be a triple in the gap.
One on, one out. Tyler Moore, another at bat. 3-1 pitch. Hits a hard double play ball to Andrelton Simmons. Turner tried to get in there hard, but Jace Peterson was already gone. To the 8th inning we go. The Nats 14-1. To Trey Turner, finally in that hit column. Hey, why not everybody else on the ball club is contributing? And tomorrow, you never know, might be a different story. Tight ball game. Julio Teheran, and the Nats will go with Tanner Roark. But this is fun to come home off a really rough 3-game series and do this.
Well, you remember when the Nats had that late start in Colorado and they got home late the next day. They had a rough game, so it's nice to see them go pedal to the metal tonight against the Braves, come out swinging and doing pretty much everything right. Jordan Zimmermann locked in after the second inning. Hits all over the place.
Yeah.
Scorecard's a mess, just the way I like it.
Well, if you're winning this game 14-8 or something, you're like, oh, okay. But Jordan did his job. Once he got the lead, he knew what to do with it. Couple of little glitches at the start of his evening, and very good sense. And that ball driven to right field. Clint Robinson is right there. Andrelton Simmons retired, and the outs are coming quicker.
Join the Nats on Wednesday, September 9th for Heroes Day, the final installment of the Patriotic Series presented by SAIC. Be part of the salute to our country and those who serve as the Nats take on the New York Mets, 7:05 start. Call 202-675-NATS or visit nationals.com to purchase your ticket.
We salute you, gentlemen. Enjoy your evening out. This is Ryan Lavarnway, the 28-year-old catcher. Some previous big league time with the Red Sox and the Orioles. .255, 2 homers, 6 RBIs in 19 games with the Braves, 13 for 51. Way inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Sammy's throwing the ball really well. 17 pitches, 13 strikes his first inning when he struck out the side. Now he's retired 4 in a row quickly. And for all of you brilliant couch managers out there who I know are thinking ahead, yes, he could get a save, but he'd have to pitch the 9th inning as well. There's a big breaking ball, and Lavarnway can only walk away. 5 in a row, 4 on strikes. Tomorrow night, Tanner Roark and Julio Teheran. Teheran 9-7, 4.62. He and the Nats know each other extremely well. And then Tanner Roark, who's been down at Potomac working toward this. It'll be his 7th start. He hasn't started since June 28th at the Phillies. He's 4-4 with a 4.54 ERA. Nats Extra 6:30 tomorrow night. First pitch 7:05. Nick Markakis, tough matchup the way Sammy's throwing it. And he'll hit one to left. It'll back up Danny Espinosa. Sammy Solis, 6 in a row, and I mean quickly. That was a 10-pitch inning to get this to the bottom of the 8th.
By Miller Lite. We're going to show you Adam the Bat Boy getting that bat way out in left field. No, wait. We're going to show you Ryan Zimmermann. Why wouldn't we? He's the hottest hitter on the planet. In the middle of a standing ovation, he goes double in the gap first time up. Sac fly is second time up. Single third time up. Double fourth time up. So a perfect night for Ryan Zimmermann. Absolutely locked in. Hottest hitter in all of baseball. Continues here tonight against the Braves. I voted for Adam the Bat Boy, by the way. Thought that was great.
The Atlanta Braves will employ their 8th pitcher of the ball game, and that will be Matt Marksberry out of Campbell University, North Carolina. Braves took him in the 15th round just 2 years ago, and here he is in the big leagues. Anthony Rendon packing.
Braves getting a good month or so look at all their young pitching prospects, making evaluations on them and deciding what they're going to do next year moving forward. It's a wonderful opportunity for all these young men.
Yeah.
Regardless of how many games they've lost in a row, what their record is, where they are in the standings. You're getting at the shot at the highest level. You have to take advantage of it if you want to stay.
Yeah, you work your whole life to get to the big leagues, and all of a sudden you're with a storied organization where it's an organization of opportunity. A lot of pitching spots open as they look down the road. 2-1 pitch. Outside. Rafael Martin. First big league win last night.
Hey, while you're 1 second, I want to give Ray a shout out and thank him for filling in for me in St. Louis. It was last minute. I came down with a little illness. He picked me up big time. I want to say thanks to him on the air. That was awesome.
Well said. Glad you're back. And Rendon down on strikes. 1 out, 8th inning. Potomac Nationals are wrapping things up. Their last home game is next Monday. They'll have $1 tickets for Labor Day while we're toiling up here. Fan Appreciation Week. Weekend fireworks. Check it out. PotomacNationals.com. Matt Dendecker, another AB. Chopper right side. He's off to the races. And Jace Peterson plays it well. 2 outs. Danny Espinosa replaced Ryan Zimmermann 2 innings ago. Pinch hit for him, got a base hit to left, now playing left field. So this spot in the order, 4 for 4 tonight. Ryan Zimmermann, 4 RBIs, 2 doubles, a single, a sac fly. And again, hats off to this crowd of 28,627. They greeted Ryan beautifully when he came up for his first at bat, and 2 pitches later he rewarded them by almost knocking down the scoreboard in right center. Great moment as he embarks on his 2nd decade in the big leagues. And then Danny comes in, fills in very well himself. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Espinosa high in the air to left, going back Garcia. See you later. Into the bullpen. Danny Espinosa, 13th of the year, and the Nats have 15 on the board. A new record for Nationals Park for the home team.
I'm telling you what, he's a sneaky MVP of this ball club. He really is. There's no other way to put it. Whatever he's done defensively, whatever they ask from him, he's done well. Never complained. He's added energy and hustle and a grit to this ball club that at times was needed. Love what he's done this year. Sneaky MVP, Danny Espinosa. Mark it down right now.
2 for 2 tonight.
Off the bench and a twofer. That's not easy, man. I don't care how many hits your ball club has. You come off the bench cold and throw a twofer with the tater up there. Good for him.
Been a good stick from the right side this year. That's his 3rd right-handed home run. He's hitting over 260 right-handed now.
It's more than the numbers with him, though. It's what he's added to this ball club. Just on an approach on a daily basis whenever he gets opportunity.
Up in the zone, inning over. Nats pick up another run. So tonight they score in every inning but the 4th and the 7th. And by Maryland football season tickets. Mini packs on sale now and start at just $80. Visit umterps.com or call 1-800-I'm-a-Terp. Fear the turtle. And Johnny Holiday tells us if they get their quarterback situation in order, they could do some damage this year. The Nats have more than enough. They look like they had a quarterback running this offense today.
Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines are playing tonight. I haven't checked out the score. Nats fans never miss a game update, behind the scenes moment, or exclusive contest. Follow at Masson Nationals on Twitter for all the latest buzz. Again, that's at Masson Nationals on Twitter.
Oh, sorry. September.
Well, there's 15 runs.
There's Rafael Martin.
Sneaky fastball, upper 80s to low 90s.
Yeah, he had some guys swinging and missing last night.
Well, he said his confidence is up, and when he's confident as a pitcher, he just goes right after guys, and he doesn't believe people can hit his fastball, and he doesn't think about it a whole lot. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, this game got out of hand early. And for the last several innings, guys have been hacking. We just now reached the 10 o'clock hour. Nats played a couple of 3.5-hour grinders on the road the last 2 nights. And Cameron Maybin is aboard, leading off the 9th inning. That is the first walk issued by a Nats pitcher tonight, but it looked like it was close enough. Didn't get the call. Freddie Freeman next. First by a Nats reliever. Jordan Zimmermann did walk a couple of guys early, ended up with 4. And now Raphael, 1 ball, 1 strike. Pardon me, Adonis Garcia, who came in to play the outfield. Yeah, he came in Freddie Freeman's spot. And a swing and a miss. I am having flashbacks to spring training here.
I think he has a first name that all of us would love to have. Adonis.
Well, Adonis came up empty. 1 out. And now the Braves catcher, Christian Bethencourt, will step in to hit in the pitcher's spot. I'm looking forward someday to a matchup of Adonis hitting against Archimedes.
All right.
Mr. Caminero.
He'd be throwing lightning bolts and grabbing them and throwing back at him.
Been a rough year for Christian Bethencourt, who the Braves have envisioned as their catcher of the future, hitting a .184. He has spent a significant part of this year in the minor leagues. 1 ball, 1 strike. Big time hook by Martin. Swing and a miss. That 90 plays so much quicker. Ray and I talked about it last night. Here we're seeing it again. 2 outs.
Kind of a short arm delivery, just kind of jumps on you, I would imagine, if you could stand in the box and see it.
Johnny Holiday, Ray Knight in the yard. Nats Extra coming up momentarily. What a night for the Nats offense. A record for runs in this ballpark.
Good night for the Nats offense. 15 runs on 18 hits. That'll make a hitting coach sleep well.
Oh, yeah. They didn't hit a homer until the second last batter of the game. Danny Espinosa going deep for Rick Shue. Say one thing about Rick. You get on the bus, you get on the plane, you wouldn't know if this team was hitting 280 or 230. He's just kind of the same guy every day. You know it tears coaches up inside when their guys aren't going well, but he does a great job of keeping things reasonable.
No, they've been going well. Offense hasn't been the problem.
Yeah, not lately. 5.67 runs a game for the last 15 coming into this one.
Boys are going to sleep well tonight.
Two balls and 2 strikes. A stat we don't talk about a whole lot, total bases that you rack up with hits, 4 for a homer, and on down the line. 20 in the last 2 nights for the number 4 spot. including 5 by Danny Espinosa tonight. Runner going on a 3-2 pitch, and the inning will continue a while. 2 on, 2 out. Gonna bring in Jace Peterson. Peterson up there hacking. Braves only run tonight on a leadoff walk to Nick Swisher, a balk by Jordan Zimmermann, a wild pitch, and then he scored on a ground ball by Hector Oliveira. Jordan had a no-hitter till the 4th, only gave up 1 other hit in 6 solid innings. Strike 2. Bouncing ball, right side, Anthony Rendon, and the Nats come home and win big. Martin closes it out.
And gain a half a game. Anytime you gain anything this time of season, it's a good night.
This was a 2-hitter by the Nationals pitching staff tonight in sort of odd fashion. The Braves stand 4 runners tonight, and the Nats tied their largest margin of victory ever. A home record, 15 runs scored at Nationals Park. And now Matt will start thinking about tomorrow with Tanner Roark. What a win.